put my wig on because today we're doing a face chart by Judas Tape. First off, I started with my Catrice Cosmetics foundation, the Heyyyy liquid coverage foundation in the shade 020, and on top of that I went in with the liquid camouflage high coverage concealer, also by Catrice Cosmetics, in the shade 007, which is the lightest one that I have. Then it's time for the brows, and I'm using my Colourpop brow pencil in the color Jet Set Black. I like to fill my brows in by first starting at the bottom and then the top and then filling in the middle. I also like to fade out the beginning of my brow. As this is done in the face chart as well, I really focused on that. Next, I'm taking the single eyeshadow by The Body Shop in the shade Chocolate Linger. I'm going over my brows with this because it gives a little bit more texture and less shine. Then with my Peaches and Pearls pomade in the color Millicent, that's a medium brown, I fix the little mistakes I still see. And then it's time to feed my lips with the Wonder Kiss lip oil. This is really nice and hydrating. To carve out the brows, I take my Catrice cream concealers. I feel like this really makes a big difference. It really makes the brows stand out more and it just looks way more neat. Also super easy way to transform the shape of your brows a little bit more, as I wanted to do because the Judas Face Tape brows are going more up at the ends. Then for cream contour, I'm using my Wet n Wild Mega Glow Dual-Ended Contour Stick. I know they're not cruelty-free actually anymore because they do sell in China, but I still like to use up the products that I have because I don't have another cool toned contour stick. Then with a light powder, I proceed to highlight the middle points of my face because I want to make them as light as on the face chart. Don't remember which powder I use, but you can use any light powder. Then I'm taking my Makeup Revolution Cut Crease Canvas eyeshadow base and I prep my eyes for the eyeshadow look that we're about to do. I really like to buffer this out or in, or however you have to say it, with a round concealer buffer brush. So let's create some magic with the Lick and Lash Playful palette. I'm first taking the shade Hot Fuzz on a fluffy brush through my crease as a transition shade. Next up is the shade Sweet Pea, which I used all in my crease again to deepen it up on a more dense fluffy brush, and blending it out again with the first brush that I used. Next I'm taking the shade Mystic and deepening up the crease again. This really packs on really nice and, as you can tell, has a lot of pigment. Actually this whole palette is pretty amazing when it comes to pigment and the colors. So now I'm really creating that shape with the very small fluffy blending brush that I have, deciding where the darkest tone should be. And then I'm diffusing that again with the previous brush that I used that is less fluffy but more dense. And I also add that Mystic shade to the lower lash line and blend it out again. Then I start applying a thick layer of a light powder underneath my eye, since the other powder already melted into the skin and I need this to catch the eyeshadow that falls. I then started to lightly deepen up the inner corner with that Sweet Pea shade that I used earlier. And then on my Sigma E36 I used that Hot Fuzz shade again to blend out all the edges because I want it really smoothly. And for the same reason I go in with the brush that I used for the Mystic shade to really blend out the edges of the Mystic shade that I placed down earlier. And then I'm blending out everything all together with that first very fluffy brush that I used. Then I'm taking this orange Tanktastic shade on my Sigma E36 brush, which is gonna blend out all the edges to give like a really smooth and beautiful ombre effect into the skin. You can really take as long as you want to, need to. I really took my time for this because I feel like a smooth blend really makes an eyeshadow look so much better. Then on the same Sigma E36 brush, I'm taking the shade Peached, which is like a little bit more to the pinky side, and I felt like this would help in between Tanktastic and Hot Fuzz. Now it's time to cut the crease with my P. Louise makeup base in Rumor O. That is the white one. And I really like this for very colorful looks or pastels. So as you can see, I'm just cutting the crease and I'm also extending it to the inner corner of my eye because, as you can see in the face chart, it goes down where the tear duct is and then up again a little bit like a cat eye. And then it's time to perfect it a little bit and go over it with the brush again so it's smooth. Then first I'm taking the Mystic shade and placing that on the outer corner diagonally. Then it's the Sweet Pea shade again to create an ombre effect, but I'm staying away from the upper part of the cut crease to create like a little white line. And next we're taking the Hot Fuzz shade and placing that more in the inner corner. And finally the peach shade, even though I think the Fantastic shade would maybe be better because it's like a bigger contrast with the purples and pinks that I used, but oh well. It still works nicely, as you can see. I grabbed my Lick and Lash Nights Out palette for a matte white and put that in the inner corner and everywhere where we put the cut crease but didn't set it yet. And from that same palette I used the matte black to really deepen up the lower lash line and everywhere where I needed more depth to make the lighter parts stick out more, if that makes any sense. And I used a very light yellow shade in there too to even blend out the sides of the eye look even more, and also towards the nose. And finally I took the peached shade again from the Lick and Lash Playful palette. There's a lot of blending in this tutorial, but it's really necessary, definitely if you want to have those purples and pinks, oranges come together. That's why I also took the Hot Fuzz shade again to blend in between the purple and the peach shade. Back into the Mystic shade to deepen up those little areas just above the cut crease to really make it stand out. I'm doing this with a very fine pointed brush by Your Makeup, but sadly they stopped, so I can't recommend you these brushes. And with this BH Cosmetics pencil brush with Hot Fuzz on it, I'm going right above. Then with this Boozy brush, smudge brush, the A03, I'm adding some more darkness right above the lash line. I'm also taking this matte black on my little fluffy blending brush and blending that in to make it all seamless. Then it's time for mascara, and I'm using my trusty Catrice Cosmetics Glam and Doll Volume Mascara. And I always take the waterproof version because you never know when you gotta cry, am I right? Next up we're going for that very icy highlight. I'm using my Makeup Revolution Iconic Light and Contour Pro palette that has like a very white highlighter. I'm also taking that on a really small packing brush and just placing that beneath my eyebrow on my brow bone and in the inner corners as well, following the lines of that cut crease shape that we made. Then it's contour time, baby, and I'm taking my Pro Headache Powder Contour palette by Makeup Revolution as well. And now, ladies and gents, the part a lot of y'all been waiting for. This is my Paradise Makeup 8 color palette in the version Tropical, and I'm first taking this Wild Orchid shade all down my neck to create some sort of base. Went over it twice in the neck area and then also on the outside. Then I tried the Mango shade from the Tropical palette, but it wasn't yellow enough, so I took the palette they did in collaboration with the Gypsy Shrine and took the yellow of that later. But first I went over the purple that I already did with the purple from the palette they did with the Gypsy Shrine, which is just called Violet. Then I took their red. I believe I still use the Gypsy Shrine palette at this point, but basically they're the same in both palettes. And I started to create a gradient with the yellow in the middle, just blending it out again and again with a little sponge that I have. Then I went over the purple again with the violet from the Meron and Gypsy Shrine collaboration. Don't mind the gray part at the bottom. I was first thinking about doing like a lava lamp look on my chest, but in the end I didn't like it and I just went over it again. So I'm just adding more color, trying to blend them together. Purple and red aren't that easy to blend together. I actually needed like a darker pink shade probably, but it's really hard to work on this big of a surface and then have to mix the color all yourself, but I'm pretty happy with the result anyway. So then I started drawing the little face details on the little hearts that seem to emerge from the neck part. I just looked a lot at the face chart and tried to nail it just by looking at it. I also decided to do a little heart above my lip because it would be cute if I would do like the kissy face. Then I started to work with the Wild Orchid shade again inside that violet from the Gypsy Shrine and Meron palette. Then I added some red and the mango shade. And then finally I added some coral in the middle as well and worked down from the hearts towards the lava part I did on my chest. I kept blending everything and adding some more red and everything to it because I really wanted the ombre style in the hearts to work very well. Then I also did an ombre lip. I used NYX Liquid Suede cream lipsticks and the first shade is Amethyst. Then I went in with the red, which is called Kitten Heels, and in the middle I used Foiled again. Then I pushed my wig back because I prepped my forehead with the Makeup Revolution Cut Crease canvas, and I used my Tammy X Revolution Tropical Carnival shadow palette to fill in my forehead with the matte purple, the red and the yellow. Honestly, it's too big of a deal to read these names because they're on the back and it confuses me. So yeah, if you just have a matte purple, a matte red and a matte yellow, you will be able to do this. So I'm still blending on my forehead, and then I decided to take the purple down and go over the purple body paint I have on my chest. I did the same for the red. I still felt like it was kind of patchy. This is not my strong point. Then I also went over the hearts with the yellow to give them a little bit more color, but I don't know. I ended up fixing this later. Nevertheless, you see me adding like the white high points on the little hearts. I will have to go over this later again, but I just wanted to show you. I also went over my cut crease shape with some of the white body paint slash face paint, so this is perfectly fine to use on like more sensitive areas of your face because there are great ingredients in this and it smells great too. I also did the little hearts on the forehead, but I just did them wherever I thought it would be cute on my own forehead, and also added the white high points on there. So funny to see myself so concentrated in that little mirror. Then I added some more of the darker purples to match up with my lips and make it seem like the little heart is coming outside of my mouth. Then I took the palette from before, the Lick and Lash Playful palette, and taking that Sweet Pea shade and the Hot Fuzz shade and everything, and just trying to match it up a little bit more with what's going on my eyes. This is really like a learning curve for me, but I like making these videos for you guys nonetheless, so you see what works and what doesn't, and maybe make good choices. I also took the dark Mystic shade on top of my forehead because I felt like it was missing some depth. And I did some more contouring of my face as well because the face chart is very chiseled, and yeah, I don't have that small of a nose, but nonetheless I tried. And then it's time for eyelashes. These are just synthetic lashes from Wish. I just take them as a mixed package and I just use that. So then I decided to add some eyeshadow to the hearts because I don't know, I felt like it was missing something, so I added the Hot Fuzz shade to the hearts first and blended that out, and then worked with the lighter shadows in the middle. I feel like this looks way better. Also even added some little bit of that Tanktastic shade on the middle of my lips. When you're expressing yourself, everything is allowed. It doesn't have to be conventional, so. I also added some more purple to the outside of the hearts because I felt like somehow there wasn't enough depth in them. So I kept going back and forth with the purple and then adding a little more lightness in the middle. I just feel like body painting and doing these makeup art looks is just about finding techniques that work for you, and those can be different things like for everyone. So as you can see, I'm now adding those little white highlights again. and a little bit more purple, and we're done. I used a lot of brushes for this look, y'all, so I hope y'all like this little tutorial I did for my live stream, and I hope to see y'all next time. Bye!